The first question is, what is equanimity? How can we practice it? Very good question. So there is a lot of confusion. The meditation is an organic process. The equanimity is something you must grow to. You cannot decide you want to be equanimous and you become equanimous. If you decide you become equanimous, then that is not equanimity. The equanimity means a state of, there are two kinds of equanimity that we explain in Buddhism. One equanimity is equanimity of feeling. That means neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. Another equanimity is equanimity of the mental formations. This equanimity is in each and every state of samadhi. If there is a samadhi, there always is this kind of equanimity. Equanimity of formations. Not all samadhis have the neither pleasant nor unpleasant sensation. This equanimity also exists in the Vipassana. When one has advanced in Vipassana, he will also experience the equanimity of the mental formations. This kind of equanimity is also one of the 4 divine abodes that are to be practiced in order to improve the quality of our lives. What means the equanimity of mental formations? You should be very clear about it. It means that the mind is free from the tendency to clinging to the pleasant and from the tendency of pushing away the unpleasant. This kind of equanimity is connected with wisdom. When you decide to be equanimous, it will be genuine equanimity only when you don't have the tendency of pushing away that which you don't like and of clinging to that which you like. And so this kind of conditioning will come when your mindfulness and awareness is ripening. Otherwise it cannot come. The condition for Samatha and Vipassana is the meditator must remove the 5 hindrances. Unless one has removed the 5 hindrances, one cannot really enter into Samatha and Vipassana. The first hindrance is called the sensual desire. The second hindrance is called resistance or dislike. The third is called excitement and worry. The fourth is called sloth and torpor. And the fifth is called doubt. All these hindrances have to do with the complex of grabbing at the object and pushing away the object, of greed and dislike. Liking and disliking. As long as there is this liking and disliking in the mind, one cannot practice real equanimity. So the equanimity will only become the result of the successful practice of Samatha and Vipassana. Please remember that. So when you have succeeded in the organic process of Samatha and Vipassana, you will have succeeded in the equanimity. You cannot decide, I will be equanimous. Yet it is very important to understand the importance of equanimity and not to hang to the pleasant and not to dislike or try to push away the unpleasant. Try to understand that both pleasant and unpleasant are only conditionings. So the equanimity has to be developed. It cannot be attained immediately. 舍，对，他们有关系，当然。有的时候也翻译变成不变性。不执着、不拘结，就是不变性。I have just explained the meaning of equanimity. Means also, it is translated into Chinese as impartiality. Being impartial means to be equanimous. That means not holding to the pleasant and not pushing away by force the unpleasant. The Sanskrit or Pali language is especially developed for these subtle nuances, expressing the subtle nuances of these defilements of the mind. All these are explains the second hindrance is called pratigha or patigha. Prati means against, han means to strike. When the mind is striking against something, it is not equanimous. When the mind is holding to something, it is also not equanimous. So the condition of equanimity is neither striking against something nor holding to something. According to Buddhist psychology, the conditioning of a wholesome mind always has to be connected with this kind of impartiality. If we hold to something or if we strike against something, it is not a real wholesome mind. The wholesome mind, according to Buddhist psychology, is only the mind which remains impartial. In walking meditation, how does one plant the forward foot onto the ground? Is it a roll from heel to the toe or plant it firmly in its entirety? The learning of walking is always connected with experimentation. The structure of the feet of each of us is different. So you have to experiment what kind of placing of the foot on the ground gives you the maximum awareness. There is no such a rule. Nowhere in the book you will find explained. One has to think by oneself. If you step only on the heel, you will not find good balance. If you step only on the whole feet, you will also find it difficult to have a perfect balance. You will find the perfect balance only when you experiment something in between. So how much in between depends on if you have, like myself, endured accident and the structure of the feet has changed completely, then you will have to experiment how to turn that leg, which is not affected by the accident, so that the other leg gets more into balance. And in a way, everybody has some kind of imbalance in the feet, which reflects also imbalance in the hips when you sit, and the unpleasant sensation in the shoulders. Actually, the more you understand meditation, the more you understand Chinese or Indian medicine also, the more you will see the body as a whole. All is connected. Some things are more connected than the others, but all is connected. The body is one organism. When you have a disproportion or the crookedness in one place, it will be reflected in other places also. Make sure. So it is very important to, when you do walking meditation or standing, sitting, that you are aware of the whole body, and at the same time understand the connections between these different places. Some connections are more obvious than the others, but in fact everything is connected. So precisely when you have practiced the breathing meditation according to the Chinese system, paying attention to the whole of the upper part of the body from the perineum, then you will see eventually the whole body like a sponge, like it is a kind of sponge in which the channels are connected. And if the concentration is good, this sponge of the body will become very bright and luminous. That becomes then the shamatha nimitta. Then according to Tiantai meditation and so on, after you get this sensation of the whole body being like a sponge and all seeing more clearly the connections, then you practice the meditation on the 36 or 32 parts in Theravada Buddhism. You will get a very clear picture. Okay. Minding the breath, I found I could keep my attention on the rising and falling of the chest. Is this a mistake? Of course it's not a mistake, but the chest is not your object. If you only pay attention to the chest, then it's very difficult to practice shamatha or vipassana. So you can be aware of the movement of the chest, you can be aware of the movements in the whole body, but you adopt either the technique of while being aware. You can concentrate only on one thing, but you can be aware of everything. So don't mistake the awareness and concentration. If you concentrate on the chest, it will be very difficult to develop the Samatha meditation there and the Vipassana meditation. But you can be perfectly aware of the movement of the chest. It's perfectly all right. So if you practice according to the Theravada method, you should always focus on the touching place around the nostrils, where you can identify very clearly the in-breath and out-breath. Even so, you know the whole process of breath in the body, you stay with a touching place. Don't leave it. If you are working with the Chinese method, you are aware of the whole upper part of the body, and you don't focus on any particular part. You just stay with the whole the body enlarging, inflating and deflating. Then you will get a strong concentration. The breath does not stay in the body, it is always moving. Okay. Can you explain more on the difference between transcendental wisdom in Northern tradition and differentiated wisdom in Southern tradition? Differentiated wisdom in Southern tradition and in Northern tradition, we will have a lot to say about it in the coming days. It is impossible to explain in one sentence. Basically, the difference is that in the Southern tradition, the transcendental wisdom, without transcendental wisdom, without the supermundane wisdom, you cannot cut off the defilements. You need a supermundane object to completely cut off the defilements. You cannot cut off defilements on a word completely on the worldly object. Only on the supermundane object the defilements can be uprooted. On the worldly object they can be only temporarily removed. For that reason, the Theravada tradition, not Theravada tradition, also the Agamas in Sarvastivada, Ichieyopu and so on, they don't speak of non-differentiated wisdom as long as you have not attained the other side of impermanence. But different picture is in the Northern tradition. In the Northern tradition, you have the concept of natural nirvana, nirvana being the natural state of the things, the suchness being the natural state of the things, and it can become the object of contemplation, not in the original, or who knows what is original Buddhism. Not in the Buddhism of the Agamas. So this is a difference. Sometimes this difference is, of course, exaggerated. The Lankavatara Sutra, which is supposed to be the scripture which Dhammo taught in China when he arrived to China, speaks of 4 kinds of samadhi. Samadhi of the non-wise, Yi Fu Chan. Yi Fu Chan is supposed to be what you are practicing now. The samadhi on object like breath, like a color, where you may be living under the illusion that your object is something real. Then there is a samadhi of search for suchness. Shin Chu Genru Chan. This is the samadhi of those bodhisattvas who have not yet had any realization, direct realization of suchness, who have not yet entered the bodhisattva bhumi. Most of the bodhisattvas, they are fangfu, they are not shenren. Even the advanced bodhisattvas are fangfu. It is much easier to become realized on the path of the disciple than on the path of the bodhisattvas, to attain the first bodhisattva bhumi. When you attain the first bodhisattva bhumi, you are the real bodhisattva. And then you can practice the real Genru Chan. The real samadhi of suchness, not a search for suchness. Then there is a Sri Lai Chan, the samadhi of the Buddha, where everything is suchness. But we will talk about it more. Now let us recite the Metta Sutta, and the other answers will be for tomorrow. Other. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Karaniya matta kusalena yantang santang padam abhisamecce. Sako ujuche sujuche suvacho chasse mudu anatimani. Santu sakoche subaroche apakkichoche salahukauti. Santindrioche nipakoche apaggambo kulesu ananugindo. Nachakundang samachare kinchi yenye vinyu pare upavadeyong. Sukino wa khemino hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta. Yeke chipana bhutatti tasava thavarava anavasesa. Digha ye mahantava majima rasakha anakatulla. Dittha ye va addittha ye chedure vasanti avidure. Bhuta va sambhavesi va sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta. Naparo param nikubbete na atimanyete katanchinam kamchi. Vyarosana patighasanya na anyamanyasa dukham micheye. Mata yata niyam puttam ayusa ekaputtam anurakhe. Evampi sababhute sumanasam bhavaye aparimanang. Mettancha sabbalokasmin manasam bhavaye aparimanang. Udang adoche tiriyanche asambadam averam asapattang. Tan charan nisinno va sayano va yavatassa vigatamindo. Etam satim aditteye brahmam etam viharam idam ahu. Ditinchanupaggama silava dasanena sampanno. Kame suvineya gedhang nahi jatu gambaseyang punaretiti. Etena saceva jena hotu te jaya mangalang. Etena saceva jena nasantu sabu padava. Etena saceva jena sabbe roga upasamentu te.